All right, come on now. All right, so we are live with TB Nation live on Black Friday week for TBNation.net and all of our crew here. We'll be chatting up a little bit about what the latest developments are for Tiny Boat Nation, where we've been, where we're going, and the entire crew here to be able to share what the latest projects and builds and developments in the Tiny Boat Nation world are. So yeah, if you're joining us in, the real Chad, thanks for joining in. If you're joining from different parts of the country, there's people from Tiny Boat Nation all across the country. Put in the comments where you're from, say hello, and put where you're watching from tonight. And then also, this is open Q&A for the rest of the night. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the latest project updates from Mike and from Nate and from A-Dub and from Ryan and Naim. But we have plenty of time to answer all of your questions on your current boat build. So do put those down in the chat. And if you got any questions about your build, put them in there and we'll make sure to answer them. So welcome everybody for joining us. And Mike, what's been the latest with you, brother?
I don't know, man. We're just getting ready for the season. I know when everybody's shutting down and winterizing their boats, it starts to be my season for strippers. Like guys' kind of strippers, like my like, not to be confused. That's not the.
You do live close to Las Vegas.
Yeah, yes, yeah, not the Las Vegas stripper, the Havasu, which is fun in theory. But anyways, that's gonna. I mean, it gets really good down here when the lake flips. It's any day, but like right there, and then obviously got too many boats in my yard, trying to figure out a way to get them all done and still do content. Yeah. And so that's still us. But yeah, nice. That's it. That's what's going on.
Well, awesome, man. Well, we got some people coming. Anybody out from California, Arizona, Lake Havasu area? I got Manitoba, Canada. We got Charlotte, North Carolina, Kansas City. The much meaner strippers. You mean stripers? Al is outdoors. That's hilarious. So we'll keep moving down the line here. Nate Eckold with TV Nation Outdoors Midwest. Nate, how's it going, man? What's been the latest with you?
Busy.
Yeah.
What's going on? We got 5 in here at the moment.
5 builds. What's the latest flavor there for the builds?
We got the one that we're trying to finish up here.
You got any of the ones that are turf, Nate, that we can see?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what he's showing us right now. Is this black and gray two-tone?
Yeah, that's sweet. I like that.
I'm gonna put you up on the big layout here, Nate. There you go.
Hey. It's kind of okay. I got it. All right. Sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's sweet.
The sea deck or marine mat or?
Did you make that console, Nate?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. That's very nice.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
We're still working on fixing up the rigging on it.
Yes, indeed.
I could use a console. I could use a console like that on the tracker.
That boat belongs here with me. Over. I don't know. Miserable there. I'm not gonna have any. What?
You can write a check for it, and it's yours.
How much are we talking about?
We'll talk about that later.
All
right. There's another one. There's 2 more back here that were. The green one we just finished. It's still got a little left on it.
Oh, I like that. The charcoal over lime green.
Yep.
Okay, I got rolls of that. Yeah. That's what I'm going to use.
That's what you need to do, Mike, with that ortho deck you got, that 2-tone ortho deck.
Yeah, that's nice. That looks real good.
And then we got the white too. We got her all covered up, so the guy's picking it up on Saturday.
Nice.
Can you hold the?
Oh, that's the blue.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I actually have really good video of that we're just waiting on the gentleman to come so we can get video of him, and then
He's
we will
coming.
be full video on this one. This one is quite impressive in the sunlight.
He'll be here on Saturday.
Yeah, it's quite a good looking boat on the water and everything.
And
It's
it's
very
got,
nice.
let's see here.
Oh yeah, yep. TV Nation Outdoors. Is that production hull number 1 or production hull number 2?
That's number 2. The gray one was number 1 with the black turf.
That's
Gotcha.
your hull. Okay.
Yeah, that's our
Yep.
haul.
The boat
That's
turned
awesome,
out
man.
really nice by itself, like the fit. Generally, you can tell to a hull. That boat just looked kind of like everything meshed together really well. That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, they turned out good.
Yeah, that's a welded hull inside our shop, ladies and gentlemen. That is an actual hull.
Yeah. Serial number 1 and serial number 2.
Yes, sir.
TV Nation Outdoors full custom boats. So if you're looking to build a boat of your dreams, give Nate a jingle. Well, Nate, dude, that's awesome, man. I didn't get to see those boats in person, but seeing them on Facebook and stuff like that, it's cool to see them almost be water ready. So
yeah, they were in all form when you were up here.
Yeah, they were just raw aluminum and barely welded up. Yeah. But hey, everybody that's joining us, we're about 6 minutes into the live. If you're joining us, post where you're from. We're going to be giving away some gift cards tonight, some tvnation.net gift cards for Black Friday. So A, be sure to give us some likes and some thumbs up. But 2, to enter that, you actually got to comment where you're from. So put a little comment in there. Tell us where you're watching TV Nation Live from tonight. So Nate, thanks for sharing us a little bit of the updates there. I'll move down the line here. A-Dub, if he can get his audio working correctly. The dopest YouTube installer known to mankind. Anthony Jones. Number 1, baby.
Chilling. Got a few projects. Trying to get to over the hump on a 17-foot Alumacraft Bandit. Full custom. I mean, it's got everything. It's going to be super clean. Piddling with the old 1232 Porta-John. Maybe we'll see that thing coming in the future. Don't know. Got another interesting project coming in within, I'd say, the next few weeks. It's going to be I don't even know what it is. It's a plastic boat, one of those small plastic Pelicans, and we're going to trick it out. And got a Grizzly, got a G3, got another Grizzly. I don't know, man. We're out of the ways, but right now there's the Alumacraft and the 1232. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not going to give you a full tour like Nate, but that's where I'm at.
Nice, man. Well, how did today go, dude? I saw the picture of your little boy. He had a full clean snap of that wrist, man. It looks like he took a tumble.
Yeah. So my son last night, we were working on the 17, and I've got a part-time guy that works with me 2 days a week to help me with these boats because my business is a home-based deal, and he came over, and as soon as we got on it, my wife kept blowing me up. And of course, I picked up the phone, and my son was at the grandparent and at their property, and he fell off a gator. So I guess that's that. He broke his arm. He's 4, so we spent the night pretty much a majority of the night at the hospital. They had to reset it, swing it, all that good jazz. Getting back home, but man, he's wide open again today, so he must be good to go. So you can't tell him nothing.
Yeah, well, at least he has an epic story to go along with it, right? He was driving the Gator at like 30 miles an hour and just decided.
No. He was in the back, which to me, I might have to have a chat with the old in-laws, but he was in the back, and that's cool. But I guess he tried to stand up or something and got bucked out of it. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, we're just glad he broke his arm. I mean, it could always be a lot worse.
Yeah.
You could split your wig open, get a skull fracture really easily falling out of something like that. So we're just glad it was the arm break. And then initial panic was, how bad really is it? And we got there, and they said, we're going to reset it. It's out 19 degrees. We're going to set it back, split it, and all that. It should be good. No long-term, no long-term negativity on the arm or whatever. Be good as new. So hopefully that's going to be the case. No surgery. So yeah, man, we're good. Appreciate it.
man. Yeah, dude. I'm glad he'll be back in the fishing in no time. So
Yeah.
nice, man. Well,
Wild now, so you can't say much to him. So.
yeah. All good, man. Well, keep moving down the line here to our next. We'll get Naim in here as our next guest. Naim Green with Bass Brothers Fishing, DMV.
DMV, man, DMV.
So Naim, you're new to the TV Nation Live and Tin Can Crew platform, man. So tell us a little bit about the channel and what you've been doing in your area and your latest project, man.
So yeah, right off the back, like the number one question I get is like, what does DMV stand for? Because universally, Department of Motor Vehicles, that's not it. It stands for DC, Maryland, Virginia. So if you're from this tri-state area, and that's what it is, tri-state area, it's known as a DMV because you literally can get within DC, Maryland, and Virginia in no time, 15, 20-minute drive. So we tagged it as DMV, and that's why we have that there. But yeah, Bass Brothers Fishing, if you guys in the comments watching the live stream don't know, we're a fishing channel and also a boat modding channel. Have had the channel up for a few years now. And on the plate right now, I'm currently working on finishing up a 1436 build out. And about halfway through with it, it's kind of been a build from hell because it's just taking a long time, just dealing with life and everything else that gets in the way. But it's about halfway through. Still have electrical to do and get the decking done. It's going to be wood decking, so it's going to be a little time consuming, get all the decking done, carpeting, wood, and struts and all that stuff. So going to be wrapping that one up within the next 3 weeks because after that, I've got another deal coming through for a tracker. I want to do a restore on a 1994 Pro 17 tracker. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't done a tracker yet. Anthony, I might be hitting you up, man, because I know you've done a few of them. But yeah, that's coming up. Look out for that on the channel. Outside of that, I'll be working on my boat. I want to do some upgrades on my boat, the low 1448 flat bottom. And going to put some new graphs on there finally. I'm happy about that. Get some new graphs on there and get some live scope, man, so I can step up my tournament game. Start catching some big lunkers like the rest of you guys. Yeah, that's basically
about
what's
that.
going on.
Nice, man. I see. Tell us a little bit about the DMV area and that whole electric only scene you guys got up there. I mean, you said a lot of the lakes up there are like smaller bodies of water.
So that's a great question because 90%, maybe even more than 90% of the waters around here are restricted, like no gas motors, electric only. Of course, you got big Potomac River. You can run your boat up and down that all you want. You got a couple bodies of water that have a 9.9 restriction, but outside of that, our reservoirs are all man-made, and the restrictions are there. So, it's a huge market, a big opportunity for folks who are considering getting a boat done, making an electric boat. I mean, you got a lot of water around here, but some really good fisheries. I can't lie, and you have a lot of options. So it's a good look if you can get with the restriction and figure out your situation. I mean, we ran trolling motors for the longest before getting any kind of electric outboard. But yeah, around here, a lot of electric only waters.
Nice, man. It's awesome. I know you got a on the 14 footer is the one you got the EPropulsion Navy 6.0 Evo, and then the big one E175. Is that the boat you have the electric only on?
Put that on the boat 2 seasons ago. So running the Navy 6. I actually just ran it today, matter of fact. And it's working out pretty good. Happy about that. And I'm probably going to put a Spirit 1.0 on the old Bass Raider. So folks who know the channel, we got a lot of followers for that boat. And that's going to be interesting. That's going to be fun. So look out for that.
Sweet, man. That'll be good. Well, everybody is watching in. We're going to be giving away about $300 worth of gift cards tonight. And the way to enter that is to comment where you're watching from, or you can also ask a question. It's live Q&A open tonight. So if you got a question about your build, pop it in the comment section. Give us a like whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. about your build. So just pop that in the comments, and then I can bring it up here on the screen like I'm doing right now. We'll bring your question up and have our master builders here get to you and help show you what you need to do for your boat build. So moving down the line here, we have Justin Lammers with Kayak DIY getting about ready to get logged in. So we'll bring him in just after we get done checking in with Ryan. So Ryan, for the guys that don't know, well, what do you say, Mike?
Also, guys, if you're in here, give this chat a like and help it. That helps it disperse out to a few other people. We will be giving the first gift card away at like 50 likes. Then we'll be looking at names and who shouted out, where they're from, but not until like we get that. So yeah, keep it up there a little bit.
We just asking for a little bit of help. That's all.
Yeah. So the chat.
Well, sounds good. Well, Ryan, I want to bring Ryan Marquis on with Tiny Boat Nation Southeast in Oxford, Georgia, Northeast Georgia. Your new tiny boat specialist in the state of Georgia, as well as the EPropulsion full sales and service and warranty center. So Ryan, man, tell us a little bit about the crazy past 3-month journey you've been on, more like 6-month journey so far with the new shop, man.
It's been interesting. I've definitely learned a lot. I feel like the biggest difference from moving from the garage to a shop is it expanded our capabilities of things. You know, the welding has helped out tremendously. Welding in frames, transoms, stuff like that. We also have 3 builds going on right now at the same time. We have 2 G3s, and then we have a very simple 14-foot V-hull that's in there now. That's basically going to be like a panfish setup. We have just a subfloor, 5 seat bases in the subfloor, and then off of his bow plate, he's got angled hatch where we're going to stick a battery in there. So that's currently what we're working on in the shop. And then up front, we're just getting everything set up in the storefront. All of our parts, the EPropulsion motors, the stands that we got getting made to hold the motors. And we've actually had a few of you guys stop in and see us. And that's been pretty fun the past couple weeks, seeing you guys stop by and talking to y'all. So we do appreciate that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. You got guys from the community coming around, and the guys from the Georgia TEC electric community coming around and visiting the new shop. So yeah, that's awesome, man. And I love your guys. Your TikToks are pretty dang funny. I'm not gonna lie. The Powerhouse Lithium one was pretty dang funny.
We've been putting some effort into those. It's been fun being Chris, bouncing our ideas off each other and just fooling around. So it's been fun.
That's funny, man. That's awesome, dude. I'm excited to see that thing continue to grow, and now we're able to help people build their boats in a new part of the country, and then maybe the electric hub for the folks in Georgia and South Carolina and Alabama and Tennessee and stuff that are looking for EPropulsion outboards. So as part of Black Friday week, everybody, Black Friday week at tbnation.net, we have new deals dropping every single day to help build your boat. It's the best sale of the year. You're not going to find any better deals. We don't put things on sale very often, but Black Friday week is the time. So EPropulsion outboards, we're doing free shipping on those to save you a ton of money, as well as Nate's aluminum kits and parts and the dry hatches are 15% off, as well as Ryan and TV Nation Southeast, their Weekend Warrior electrical kits to help get your build done in a weekend. And do all the electrical that you need also is 15% off. So just go to tvnation.net. You'll see everything there, as well as we're going to be giving away a bunch of gift cards for that. So drop and comment either a question. We're happy to answer it tonight, or drop at least where you're watching from across the country. So we got, let's see here. Tony Johnson's got a great question. Scott Nathiro, Jesse Kerr, SoCal. All right, love it, man. Thank you for joining us. Scott Nathiro from Florida. Well, I'm bringing on the last guest here of the night is Justin Lammers, Kayak DIY. Bring him on. Let's see if audio is running smoothly. So, Justin, how's it going, man? Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Awesome. No issue.
Awesome.
Great, man. Well, yeah, dude. So for guys that don't know, Justin Lammers, Kayak DIY, If you could see like Tiny Boat Nation, but for kayak, Justin essentially did like the same thing. Like he has a Facebook group that's all about do-it-yourself kayaking, and started a YouTube channel all about do-it-yourself kayaking. And just an awesome dude. And yeah, man. So tell us a little bit about how crazy your past 6 months have been, and and just share a little bit about the story, man, and your channel.
Yeah. So I guess actually I'll just say how I came to meet Tiny Boat Nation. I believe one of the things was I saw the Yak Killer video, and I think maybe Mike was just like trying to push my buttons a little bit, but ended up talking to Mike. Found out he was a great guy, became friends, and he kind of suckered and pulled me in. And then I basically went from not just doing kayaks, but I kind of branched out a little bit into more of the saltwater skiff scene. So not quite John boats and like aluminum boats. I haven't dabbled in that much yet, but I started jumping in a little bit to some of like the more like solo skiffs. And I have interest in kind of basically the skiffs that you would take out into the mangroves, the flats, but yet still be able to go offshore with some. So we're looking at like self-bailing hulls, usually, things like that is kind of the area I'm right now dialing in on. But of course, if I end up doing those builds, I will be collaborating with TB Nation on that, definitely. In terms of what my life has been like the last 6 weeks, months, whatever. Well, we live in Southwest Florida, and a hurricane hit our house pretty dang hard. In fact, I'm in it right now, and I had to crop in the screen a little bit. You can see we have like no drywall. It's concrete floors. I have no kitchen cabinets. The house is kind of gutted. Heck, there's even a freaking tent in my living room. So, yeah, we're actually primarily living in a camper in our driveway. So,
Dang, man.
Yeah, but I'm not giving up. Gonna keep working on content. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. In terms of the Black Friday sales, I mean, I checked out what you guys are doing. The stuff that's interesting to me, that EPropulsion, I still don't have one, but that 3 horsepower for $1,400 or so, like to me, that seems like an absolute steal, because I mean, I'm looking at like Torqeedos and other things, and they're way, way more for a lot less power. A lot of kayaks are having transom mounts now. It's just that's the one that caught my eyes. And then also that shallow water anchor pull. We saw those kind of in the kayaking world a little bit, but I didn't actually even know you guys had that product out. At least I don't remember.
Yeah, the Roy's shallow water anchor, man. It's a manual, a manual power pole that'll never break down on you or never
Exactly
go bad on you. So that's been an awesome little product for our community, because I mean, nobody wants to spend $3,000 on 2 power poles. So
no way.
That was super helpful for guys with John boats and saltwater fishermen. And the guy who makes those, his name is Roy Broussard. He's out of South Louisiana, and he tested those things in the Louisiana swamps and stuff like that. And they're using them on John boats and work boats and stuff down there. So that's pretty cool, man. Well, I wanted to share with you guys, there is a GoFundMe for you, Justin, just kind of sharing your story with the family and stuff. So we'll make sure to drop the link there. But other than that, man, I mean, yeah, how has that recovery been going, and what's kind of the next steps for y'all?
So down here in Florida, everyone relies on a government-based flood program. It's basically a FEMA-backed flood program. And our house is built before 1981. And so there is a FEMA rule that says we cannot spend more than 50% of the value of the structure, the home structure. Mm-hmm. And so this rule is currently holding us up from renovating our house, because every quote we've had to repair our house right now is coming back higher than likely what the structure will be appraised at. Like it's coming up higher than that 50%, which would require us to either tear down the house and demolish it or elevate it and bring it up. And we found out to elevate the house is like $100 per square foot, or roughly $190,000. Yeah, but to tear it down is $20,000, and to build anything new right now is about $350 a square foot. And so it's like we feel like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place kind of right now. We're just trying to figure out where the heck what to do, because we don't want to have to sell the area, like sell our property if we don't have to, in order to get out from this. But at the same time, the insurance is not going to pay out our cap, even if we have to demolish the home according to their rule. So that's the other really cruddy thing. So yeah, but my problems are not everyone else's problems. But yeah, that's the mess we're in right now, is we're just kind of stuck.
Yeah, understandable, man. I'm sure there's a lot of people just like you in the same spot. Probably everybody in your dang neighborhood's probably dealing with some of the same things.
My neighbor's in a camper. We're camper neighbors.
Gosh, man, that's nuts. Well,
yeah.
Well, we appreciate you sharing that with us, man, and it's glad to have you on with us as a first-time TV Nation Live guest. So, well, now we ran through kind of what everybody's, updates of everybody's life and what we're doing. If you're watching, looks like we had a nice little bump in followers here that are watching live. Make sure to give us a like. Also, if you have a question, we're going to start rolling into Q&A right now. So if you have a question, drop it in the comments. We will answer it here tonight. And then we're also giving away over $300 in gift cards to people that are commenting where they're from or asking a question. So drop that in here and we will answer them.
So what do you
Mike,
guys
you want to say?
No, I'm just gonna. There's a bunch of questions. There's a bunch of questions here in the YouTube chat. Then we'll switch over to the Facebook chat.
Yeah, I got a good question here, Mike. If you want to start with a replacement transom question.
Yeah, I think I talked to that. I kind of DM that guy on the last end, but I would just say be ready for the oxidation and pitting. That's inevitably going to be there. Be ready for holes in the transom.
Gotcha.
Like once you start chipping away with a wire brush, be ready for, don't be alarmed. It's probably just going to be there. And you can take care of a lot of that with thickened marine epoxy. You can spread it on like a trowel, but it has to be thick. The actual thickened type, like West System 610 or G-Flex or some sort of marine equivalent. I mean, a lot of that's just white labeled, but it's thickened marine epoxy, meaning you can put it at any level, upside down, vertical, whatever, and it'll just stay there. And that way it'll actually cure and fill in those voids. And at that point in time, I would really consider maybe just putting in an aluminum transom. Then you never have to worry about it ever again. So if you're going to put it, if you're going to put in all that work, because I had replaced the transom in my boat twice. And once was the treated plywood transom, and it was imploding. Like parts of it were skinnier than the other, like physically skinnier. It wasn't broken. It was just it shrunk. That's just what happens to wood. And then the other one, I did that. And then when I put my 60 on, I had to replace it because I wasn't going to trust that wooden transom with a 60. And when I took that transom out, pretty much the inner veneer layers between the hardwood, because I used oak wood, went to crap. And that was after I resin coated it. I used marine epoxy, I avoided treated plywood. I did everything I was supposed to do that I thought I was supposed to do. That thing still took a crap. I probably fish more than the average person, but somebody who fishes a lot, I don't know. I had enough of it at that point in time. So they start putting out aluminum transoms that are like a plank of wood that you can just cut like a plank of wood and shove in there like wood, and then you just rivet it in there. Or obviously you through bolted in with stainless hardware, but the whole point is that's it. Then you never have to do it again. It's there forever. So the last 3 boats I've had, I'll have aluminum transoms. And then obviously if you have the gift of welding, then just weld your own transom in.
Yeah. So yes, Nate, what would be a good, for this guy, for instance, what would be the good point to consider going to an aluminum transom? So say you got a wooden transom currently, and from the boats you've seen come through the shop, what is kind of the deciding line to be like, oh, hey, you should probably tear this out and put in an aluminum transom versus saying, oh, hey, you got a few years left, or you got some time left on a wooden transom?
if it's hard and there's no corrosion holes on the back side, then I would consider leaving it. But if he's building out the inside of it, you don't want to put $5,000 on the inside of your boat if you think your transom's suspect, because then you got to tear stuff out to fix it later. So
makes sense. Get it all done at once.
Yep.
Yeah.
It might be
No,
gone. Like if the aluminum's half the depth, like if you start stripping away the wire wheel and then half the depth of your original hull thickness is gone, then I don't know. Epoxy won't fix it. We're talking about little pits and holes, but the majority of it's still intact. Then you can just kind of slap a new transom in there. But yeah, what Nate's talking about, then you'd have to fasten. Brian Bench out of Texas, he redid his whole transom. He buck riveted it back in because his transom was for his dad's boat, that turquoise boat, remember? And then he used buck rivets and just buck riveted a whole new piece of aluminum in it. It looked pretty good.
we had one come through the shop that had what appeared to be 2 little pits, and it went to the sandblaster, and it come back and there was like 5 holes the size of a quarter in it. That's how bad. Where it was just paint and a super thin layer holding it together. And as soon as they hit it with garnet, there was just huge holes in it.
Yeah. Dang. You got to wonder how many transoms are just like one shutter away from exploding.
I was telling about one he had into Georgia the other day.
Who?
Barely hanging on.
Oh yeah, we had one roll in the other day. The kid's gonna use it as a duck boat, and it was scary. I had to tell him not to put that boat in the water. Like the transom saver, just from him towing it to the shop, the transom saver had popped off the trailer and was dragging on the ground because his motor was just bouncing off this transom.
Okay.
Like, dude, please don't put that in the water.
You should use that. Like they're in Walmart most of the time. Or get one and put it on. Like I rock one for everything. I'll never not use it.
Well, I hope that Tony, helps give you some pointers as to what to look for on your transom, and whether you need to do a full aluminum transom or what the options are there. But on that point, for Black Friday, we are doing a 15% off all of Nate's aluminum parts and kits and hatches and replacement transoms. So if that's something you think would be valuable for you, we do have that sale going on the website this week for Black Friday. And talking about transoms, I do have some more questions about transoms. Oh,
hold on.
Mike?
Just one last thing, because when look at this question, you said intimidated just looking at all the rivets. You're talking about like the 1.5-inch rivets that are stock into the platform. Just drill those out, because you're not going to find like buck rivets that long. I don't know where you would find them. McMaster might carry them, but those are really like an old. You just use stainless hardware. Replace those long rivets with stainless hardware. Just in case that's what you're talking about. That's all.
Yeah, those like 40 giant rivets on the back of them.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going to find those. Yeah.
Now, Mike. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Didn't you once use synthetic like Cusa board also for a transom? How did that work, and what would your thoughts be on that versus anything else?
The more I look at it, there's no place for it in freshwater.
I'm thinking it more makes sense for fiberglass, maybe for fiberglass encapsulation, but not as much for maybe the aluminum boat.
Well, the point is that it's as expensive as aluminum, if not more so. It's not as effective. So unless you're just trendy and edgy, the thing I put a Cusa board in or use it at all was for the Yak Killer transom, and that is it's working for that, but that's only a little 3-horse, EPropulsion Spirit. Wait, I all a Cusa board transom because a gentleman actually gave me an 1.5-inch thick piece of Cusa board. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I'm very grateful. He said, "Here, I'll just give you some, try it out." And I did try it out, and I'll tell you, it's very weak without glass.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm actually going to have an aluminum transom in that boat, because the minute I stuck like a 25-horse, the whole transom boat in. So it absolutely just needs glass to handle anything big.
Yep. Well,
that's low.
I will say
Yeah.
once I redid my skiff, the one thing I regret was not replacing the transom and just getting it done. You know, like I was like, oh, why didn't I just replace the transom with something not wood like Kusa? You know, but that was a fiberglass boat.
Well, the good thing about it is that, you know, it is synthetic. It's not going to start separating and cracking and doing its organic thing like wood does, because it's not organic. It is synthetic. And it's the flex radius, like it flexes and handles shutter very well. So it is probably going to outlast wood 10-1 as far as that. Like if you glassed wood and then you glassed Kusa, the Kusa would absolutely beat the wood. And you know, detached with the stringer issues that happen generally when people are running wood stringers in bigger boats. But
100%, like Nate said, if you're going to dump some money into your boat and really customize it out, the last thing you want to do is have to tear out, you know, that transom later on. Better to just do it right the first time. I mean, that would be me. I mean, I wouldn't want to be tearing it out once it looks all beautiful like that boat he just showed us.
I have torn twice.
Yeah,
and I would agree. Full hard.
Yeah, the saltwater boat manufacturers, they use Kusa for the transom, but they're using like 3-inch or 2-inch thick Kusa, which for a DIYer to buy a whole sheet of that is ridiculously expensive. I mean, heck, Mike, we looked at trying to get you Kusa out to Arizona, and that was ridiculous.
Yeah, it'd have to be 2 or 2.5 inch thick just to equal the 1.5 inch thick transom. What the wood, because even a wood transom by itself is still stronger than its equivalent in Kusa. It's also heavier, but it's more dense. But to equal what an 1.5 inch thick transom would equal, if you sandwich 2 pieces of 3/4 together, the Kusa would have to be 2 inches minimum, if not 2.5 or 2.25.
Yeah.
And that's just most small outboards are not going to fit 2.5 inch clamp radius. They'll barely fit. You'd have to, it wouldn't work. You'd have to through bolt it.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the topic of transoms, I got another good quick question here from our friend Carrie Bell in North Georgia. Just asking about, he got some other questions. They're all kind of parsed out here, but about jack plates. What jack plates do we have on the website? And currently, Carrie has an awesome build done by A.W. Jones, and we got to see that on our latest trip to Georgia. And he's running an EPropulsion Navy 6.0. And he's just looking to get a little bit more speed with the best setup and stuff like that. And also, we got a ton of guys on here that are running 9.9s and 20s and 25s and want to get the best performance out of those motors and need to put them up and down and dial in that prop height. And so Carrie and whoever else is looking for a jack plate, we carry pretty much every brand out there on the site. Our biggest one that we work closely with is On the Fly jack plates. So if you've ever seen those manual tilt tilt up and down jack plates, they are absolutely awesome. We are doing a Black Friday sale on those as well, so those are 15% off. Save yourself about $90 on a On the Fly jack plate, tvnation.net. But also we've worked with Bob's Machine Shop, the Atlas, like the Micro Jacker. You know, those are the kind of entry level jack plates at about $1,000. For those as well that are more of a hydraulic or electric option. There's quite a few things there that help with the speed. But does anyone want to pick up, their usage of a jack plate and seeing how well that can help dial in the performance?
Yeah, I'll talk on it real quick, and then if anybody wants to add their insight, much appreciated. But I know it sounds incredibly disingenuous to vouch for On the Fly jack plates after we just announced the sale for them. Like, that's not the strategy here. But I will tell you personally, as somebody who's been using it now on the budget build I just did, because that's not my primary boat, which I did stick a 20 horse Gen 4 Merc on it. That is probably my favorite jack plate. I mean, yeah. Not jack. It's the jack plate. I get it mixed with like power. Yeah, but the jack plate. It's mainly because there's no electronics and there's nothing to go wrong. No relays to blow. No problems like that way less rigging. But the major reason is without needing the actual trim, you got like one trim pin setting on that small portable outboard. You don't have power trim. And so you got to pick the trim pin setting. And so you don't have that leverage. But what you do have is a constant winding. It has a very, very generous raise, but you can really just inch it with yourself. right there. I got a lot of slack from it on the people on TikTok saying, saying why would you go manual when you could go electric? And I tell you, just the ability to turn it a quarter turn, an eighth a turn, a half a turn. You see a substantial 2-3 mile jump when it's tuned right correctly. Like you can get that thing right on the water. And I guess you could feather that with a microjacker, right? I have an Atlas microjacker on my main boat. That whole on there.
What, 400 or 500 difference between a hydraulic and on the fly, which is pretty substantial.
Yeah, I just think I wasn't a huge fan. I saw it a long time ago. I think on an Instagram clip, watching a gentleman. He had the motor all the way in the water, like it was like at stock transom height, and then he cranked it up there, and you heard the motor performing better right away. And I looked at it, and I was like, I need that in my life. And then later on, we found him, we spoke to him, and then we got one, and it does perform that good. That's not a fake reel. It does do that good. You will, if you have it tuned, and it'll just be within a micro turn, 1/3 to 1/4 to a half, and you'll just hear your motor start going up in RPMs, and you'll see you shooting from like 20 miles an hour to 23, 24. And you creep it up a little too high, then your motor will cavitate, and you can't, and you'll feel it blow out, and you'll hear it gargle, but then you just back it off. But you can really just to the micro, especially if the water's glass. That's like your best performing. You're trying to make a long run. That's your best performing run. Then you can just crank it down. It's like a trailer jack inside a jack plate. So like nothing can go wrong. It's real smooth.
So I can speak about.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I can actually speak in regards to on the fly jack plate as well. So when I did my flat skiff, now mind you, I'm exclusively pretty much on saltwater most of the time. It held up really well, and definitely, I mean, the performance was phenomenal. The build quality was really great. I got one of the early models, so it was like right when it was coming out. I mean, I think he was even almost making tweaks to it, and I was already impressed with what he was kicking out. Definitely, I'd have to agree. Like, if for me, I came from the kayaking world, so for me, every boat that I'm kind of on, I like to keep it simple, less to go wrong. Now, granted, I might want to go into the bigger boat world, but I still like to keep some of those same principles. So for me, I didn't want to have a lot of electronics to fail. I didn't want to have a powered jack plate, and I was shocked at actually how easy it was to turn that jack and I mean, you get like 5.5 inches of travel or more off that jack plate, and you can really dial it in literally on the fly, like they say. It's great. I loved it.
Yeah, it's not near as taxing as one would think. Like to have two hands back there and adjusting it really does go
easy,
pretty seamlessly. Yeah, I fished, been able to film it correctly. You just see a black silhouette with green lights. But when I go out and fish out in the day, I'm gonna get you guys a full video on it. It's worth every penny. It's really good.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
I'll actually weigh in specific to Kerry's question as it relates to his boat, because he and I have the same motor, the Navy 6.0. I installed the Atlas microjacker on my boat, and it's a flat bottom, smaller than his. And I did it for two reasons. Wanted, of course, more speed, better performance. On my boat, I run a gas motor, and then I swap out the Navy 6 whenever I need to. Well, it's mostly the Navy 6, then swap out to gas. But nonetheless, on the Navy, I did not see a huge performance increase on the Navy, but I did see it on the gas motor. So if you are going that route, Kerry, do your research. Part of my motivation, if you look at the Navy 6 short shaft is much longer than a gas motor short shaft. And I did the research on the EPropulsion site, and the short shaft is naturally longer, but I believe it's because the prop is so much bigger. It's designed that way intentionally. So in some cases, I actually lost some speed on the Navy 6 using the jack plate. But yeah, I just wanted to give that information out to Kerry before you do what I did. And, of course, you're drilling into your transom, doing all that kind of stuff to your boat. Do some more research. I'm not totally convinced that the jack plate's the way to go for the Navy 6.0. Gas motor, hands down, big performance improvement there.
Yeah. The when I was running the pontoon boat, our Pontini giveaway boat that has a Navy 6 on it, and we have the electric on the fly jack plate on that one. And when I was trying to dial it in for getting the best speed, I mean, I was getting it. The lower I went, the better. Like the deeper I got it in the water, the better overall speed we were getting. You can hear when it starts ventilating. But that with the composite prop, you can really hear it when it starts ventilating, and so you can play. The cool thing with the electric on the fly has a little key fob, a wireless key fob, but you can see, you can get it, raise it all the way from top to bottom, and you can really hear when it's, operating at full capacity versus, ventilating too much. You can really hear it in the sound of the prop. And I think at the very lowest setting to like the bottom, like third of the lowest setting was when we got the best performance out of that pontoon boat. Those props don't seem to like ventilation like a gas motor does that allows them to get up in a higher horsepower. Since those motors are capped, those electric motors, doesn't matter what brand it is, EPropulsion, Elco, Torqeedo, they're all low RPM motors, and so they all max out at a certain RPM rate, and you're really playing against the ventilation of the prop and the physics of the propeller at that point. You're not spinning more RPMs like you are on a gas outboard where you're trying to get up in that 5,500 RPM range and get that motor up there. So, and that's some really good insight there, Naim. I got a really great question here. So everybody, we're doing live Q&A. So if you got a question, drop it in here. We'll make sure to answer it tonight. And if you're just joining us on TBN Live, comment where you're watching from or ask a question. And we're going to be giving away a bunch of gift cards at the end of this for people who've been participating in our live. And we appreciate you guys clicking that like button, help distribute this out to more TB Nation followers. But this is a great question. Jesse Kerr has been watching us all the whole time here for the past 40 minutes, and he's got a great question and a great story here. So Jesse's question is, Pops passed away wanting to build his 14-foot Mod V into a catfish rig. Only have about $2,000 for the project. Where would you focus the best money for the best value on a 14-foot Mod V and turning it into a catfishing rig? Does anybody want to step up and take the first shot at that question?
Well, if he's willing to make everything from scratch, I mean, our Gen X kits are, he could probably build a whole boat with a Gen X kit, like a frame and deck for all that. And then it's just a matter of, I mean, the catfish boats generally, so there may be a lot of night fishing. What do you think makes a really good deck for the catfish? Because there's generally a lot of slime and there's blood, and so maybe not pretty turf. Maybe the more thick, robust, like brown camo hydro turf. Or is there like a cheap paint, guys? Like a cheap paint and primer, like the rubberized decking that's not so gritty, that's not going to tear a fish up when you flip it on the deck? Or
it's all pretty expensive.
Yeah, I don't really find a whole lot of alternatives that are good for decking. They all seem to be just what they are. But I think I say that camo hydroturf, I'm quite surprised at how durable it is. You get the two-tone EVA foam, and I've routed that out. I've done it with cheap Amazon foam and higher quality foam. That stuff you really have to watch what you do to it. The higher quality foam, you can be a little bit more abusive on it, but the actual camo hydroturf, it's like impervious. It's also a little bit stiffer and not as comfortable, but I don't think I have stained it, and I've thrown a lot of stuff on it. I can't tell.
Well, look at Nate's boat. I mean, that thing is you can't tell it's dirty until you really look at it, and then you're like, oh wow, that's really dirty.
Yellow in it. Is it made the same? Is it the same grit?
Yeah.
Like those trendy little like bougie, like the yellow and the green and the blue and the red, like those. Are those the same?
Yeah.
Like
they're all the same thickness. Yeah, they're all the same thickness EVA foam, same density.
I don't know. Yeah, I think the camo hydroturf is unbeatable. Like, it doesn't get dirty. Maybe you're slopping. I think people use that for hunting, because I used to take a lot of shots at EVA foam for it being cheap. But all I had ever used was like the two-tone stuff. And somebody was like, "Well, I use a camo hydroturf for hunting, and it holds up. And I drag buoys, and I drag guns, and I drag dead animals on it, and it's just fine. I just spray it off with a hose." Like I'm like, you're lying.
I guess if I had a
but it's free. He probably just does that. That's probably legit. Yeah, it's that tough.
on a $2,000 budget, I'd probably put a small front deck on it with one lid in it and do the deck out of plywood, resin coated. He needs a wide open space in the middle of the boat and then some turf on it. You know, he's probably needs 3-4 sheets of turf, 2 sheets of plywood, some resin, a starter kit, a lid, you know,
like a starter XL kit.
He should be able to stretch that $2,000 to cover that.
And maybe a nice 1 or 2 nice seats, like a Millennium, Millennium seat. Those are pretty sweet for fishing in. Yeah, those are worth it. Anybody else got their 2 cents on how they'd spend $2,000 on a catfishing rig?
Yeah, probably what Nate said, man. I mean, if you got 2K, I mean,
yeah,
it's not going to go that far. So I mean, if you need 4 rolls of turf or 3 rolls of turf or whatever you need, I mean, I don't even know what that stuff's going for on the site right now on sale, but it's normally what, 150 to 200 a sheet, depending on what you get. So right there, you've spent 25% of your budget. So, but yeah, it can be done. It can be done. You could do electrical. You could do a basic framing kit, like Nate said, resin coat, some wood, and just take your time with it, turf it. You know, something simple can be done. Basic electrical. I don't know what kind of crazy lighting package you would need for that. So that's a whole another concept that is foreign to me. But yeah, you should be able to do it for 2K if you DIY it.
Yeah, with the $2,000 budget, I would just expect to have to use wood for a lot of it. So.
And Ryan, tell us a little bit about the electrical kit you guys came up with. Is pretty designed for that, right? Like a basic, get you started kind of electrical setup. So I mean, that would work for a basic catfishing rig.
Yes, it would. It's a very simple, basic electrical kit with the switch panel, fuse block. I forget the exact. I think there's 25 feet of 6-gauge wire and like 40 feet of 14-gauge, I believe. And a great example of us using all that was in that Weekend Warrior kit. That's how it got designed, essentially. So we were able to put in 2 lights under the front deck, 3 lights on the top of the front deck, 2 lights in the back of the rear deck, and 2 lights on the top of the rear deck as well. Plus, I think we had one kind of illuminating the electrical panel in that build as well. So it's enough wire to get all that stuff connected and back to your fuse block and switch panel without going crazy overboard with anything.
Gotcha. That makes sense, man. I mean, that's the whole reason why you guys came out with the Weekend Warrior kit, right? Was to help people build their boat in a weekend, whether it's a basic boat layout or electrical or safety stuff. So try and make it easier on guys to be able to build their boat in 3 days. So.
And the cool thing about that one, we didn't have to. There was 0 bench seat removal either. I know that freaks a lot of people out. So you're just repurposing those bench seats that are already in the boat as well.
Yeah.
Now, for a lot of your aluminum boats, are you guys finding like where are you guys running the electrical from? Like, let's say you want to run it from the stern to the bow. Like on fiberglass boats, we usually are putting in like a chaser tube, we're basically like a PVC tube running along the side gunnels so that you can run all your electrical through there. I imagine some of the boats have them built in, but some boats don't. And then what are you guys doing for that to make it easier down the road if you had to swap out electrical?
We're doing the
same thing.
Hat channel, like, I don't know. Hat channel across the, if you can make a double wall around the top gunnel. Like if you're trying to keep it conservative or you're talking like really conservative, trying to keep the boat basically the same, or you're trying to make like a full build. Like which way?
I was just curious on what you guys are typically having to do on some of these. Like if he's going to run electrical, is it usually hidden under the gunnels usually? Or are they
under the decks?
Under the deck a lot more, and you just run it through like a pipe or a tube system. Okay.
PVC pipe or something. I usually, after we're done framing, I kind of look at the overlay of the boat, and usually it's easier for me to run all my electrical. I choose a side, left or the right side of the hole, usually opposite of whatever the rod locker is going to be. And then that's why I run that PVC pipe from bow to stern.
I only asked that. I only asked that because, like, me jumping into the boat building, like, I had done a lot on kayaks. None of that really matters. Kayaks are simple, kind of, they really are. But like, when I tackled my boat build, I had to learn all this stuff. So I'm just trying to think for people that are maybe tackling a project that haven't done it before. The chaser tubes were an afterthought for me, and then I was like, crap, I got to put them in. So
you definitely got to plan it out.
Yeah.
The best way, Justin, if you were going to the actual best way I found as somebody who's used conduit and used whatever is you just run a double wall. You can run one or two. And I mean, I'm running it in between the core of the boat and the rod lockers. And you have accessible panels like inside the pits. And then obviously it cuts off into the locker. You have an accessible panel you can pull off inside the locker and then into your front stow. If you have a front stow, or if you're able to access something like maybe lift the trolling motor tray, you can have a panel there. That way you can chase wires to and from. It wasn't such a big deal when you're running PVC conduit, but when you start to run advanced electronics, you start to run 2 and 3 graphs. You start to run 10 gauge wire, 10 gauge duplex, 6 gauge, a bunch of 14 gauge to string LEDs together, plus other things. What I really was very annoyed with is you can get all that in one shot. If you ever go back to service it, can you service the boat? Like, if anything goes wrong, if anything happens, can you service the boat? And a double wall with serviceable panels and like C channel or half pipe inside, cupping the bottom so like wire can kind of just lay in there. That was the most effective way I've ever had, where I actually really like it and I don't regret. But it runs the whole length of the boat from back to front. The whole thing. Right. It's a little also hard to pull off, but
that really only works though when you have a fully built boat. For the guys doing like one lid in the front and they're on the super simplistic side, they really don't have an option for that.
Well, the side is the best way to do it then. Like Ryan said, running all the wires down the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on the project. So I try to get the wiring in the framing stage when everything's open and the path of least resistance, and just try to plan for if a light ever needs to be replaced or a wire needs to be gotten to after the boat is fully done, that may be possible. It's not always the case. Sometimes you've got to run wires through areas. Sometimes you got to get them around a bench or through some pour foam or around a cooler or something that you may not have access to get to. But I try to just get it under the framing. And honestly, man, less is more. So even on some of the more complicated builds that we're doing now, when you open them up and look underneath the deck and stuff, it's not really so complicated as far as the wiring is concerned. And that was something I had to learn from Nate.
Less is more. That's very funny. Well, we got another great question here. That's kind of a generic question, but I know that you guys have quite a bit of experience with this. So I know Mike's had one. I think Ryan's had one before. I think Anthony's built one. I know maybe Naim, you've had one before. But this is a question from Scott Nathiro on Facebook. And he's asking, he's got a bass raider, and he saw Mike's latest Pond Monster and Pond Prowler video. And he is asking, is there a mod you wouldn't advise to perform on the bass raider? Where's the line drawn on the bass raider modifications?
No high outboards. Real quick before we answer that question, this guy's been asking me this question forever, and I can get no answer from you guys. It keeps getting lost. When is the red camo turf going to get back in stock? Is it ever going to be back in stock? Will it ever be back in stock?
Eventually. HydroTurf, just like everybody else, has been having supply side issues. So we're hoping to get the red camo turf in by like middle of the month. But
Thank
also,
you. Appreciate it. Because Nasty Nate has been asking me that question in at least 3 lives consistently.
Well, Nope.
I got no answer for him. Okay, as far as the bass raiders go, just remember it's plastic, and I hope that doesn't offend you, Justin, but it is. It's plastic.
Not at all.
I mean, so what do you think? Just know your limits with plastic. Right now, I got to move my palm prowler because my dogs are chewing on it in the backyard because it's plastic. They don't chew on my aluminum boats. Just chewing on that. I gotta move that like today. I just found out that they were chewing on it. So I just wouldn't put I wouldn't just only use a trolling motor or like a small like portable electric motor on it. I wouldn't really go. I wouldn't try to make that thing plain. And then, but as far as like the weight capacity, they could hold obscene amounts of weight. I can't believe it. Like that little sub 8 foot palm prowler, I couldn't believe it held 2 people and we didn't almost fall off. So I think mod wise, you could probably do a lot to it. It just can't go anywhere. You just got to be ready for it. I hope your body watch.
What's that thing like fishing with the decks on it, Mike? Is it pretty?
No, it's heavy. Those things are pigs. Even without nothing on it, it's a pig. It's not very portable. Okay, I'm gonna make a trailer for it. I'm just gonna make a cheap, like a little cheap, like foldable, portable steel trailer, or you could do aluminum, but probably just a steel, just like 16 gauge steel. Probably your cheapest.
Like a little Harbor Freight one, right? Like a little starter Harbor Freight one.
No, we're talking about like a super portable trailer. Like you can fold that thing and throw it in the back of your truck. When you throw that thing in the back of your truck, like it folds. I'm gonna make it, but I mean, not that's like a real. The Harbor Freight trailer is a legit trailer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that thing does fold, but not like I'm talking about like one that folds and you can put it inside
like a collapsible cart, not really a trailer, like a collapsible cart for the thing.
Cart trailer, yeah, like, but essentially, yeah, it's heavy though. That is the thing though. It's not, is that you need
not a one-man portable.
Like a dolly system. You need a dolly system, and you might need like a winch system if you're by yourself. And then once you're in the water, you can't really tell. But yeah, it's 2 people or a winch for that boat. I don't know. That 8 foot palm, a lot of that because the foam was waterlogged. You could tell physically that it was very heavy. But yeah, you know the best mod you can have on the thing is like a really good draining system every time you get out of it. Like put kayak plugs on the bottom of those pontoons.
Yeah, put a drain plug
mod to that thing. Be kayak drain plugs. Absolutely.
Makes sense. Anybody else have experience with the Bass Raider?
Yeah, I'll chime in. I have the Pelican Bass Raider 10E, and I do agree with Mike. First of all, in terms of powering it, don't overpower that boat. It is a plastic boat. You know, transom plastic, everything's plastic. So I think it's rated 2.5 to 3.5 horsepower. I wouldn't go past that because the boat's really held together by these metal staples. So
it's true.
Yeah, so you don't push that. And the only other thing I'd really say is, you know, just think through what you're doing with it. You want to limit how many holes you bore in it because, you know, you can't repair that, you know, unless you want to do, what's it called? Plastic welding. Yeah.
Plastic welding,
yeah. But just be careful the holes you put in there. Just think it through. You know, try not to put any unnecessary holes in the hull of the boat. I did install a scupper plug in mine, which works great. That is a mod that I think they should have that on it out the factory, but for some reason they don't. But they do. On the Bass Raider,
like the palm prowler, they have it on the very, very back, but they're also built crappier. I don't know. That's some things are better and some.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, the main thing, just don't overpower it and just think through where you're going to put holes and make sure you do that part right. Because it can be disastrous if you mess that up.
Be a sinking Bass Raider is what it'd be.
But awesome little boat. Love that boat.
I did like the simplicity of it. Like when I did use it, when I was on that 8-footer, I really did it because Nick sent me a picture out of Phoenix. Funny story for that 8-footer. And he sent me a picture. He like wide angled that thing so it looked like a 10-footer. And then when I drove 3 hours to that town to go get it, and it was 8 feet. And so that's why we built that thing. But I'll tell you what, it's stable, and it fished really well, very simple. We had that another good mod for that is the they got this thing called a troll and find, where it just mounts to a transom mount trolling motor. It's just a fish finder mount. And so I took a little piranha from Walmart, like $100 piranha with a little $100 like hook 4, and stuck it on that thing, and that was really just very pleasant to use. The fish finder was there. I wrapped the wire around the transom mount, that put the transducer on the bottom of the motor, and then that was it. I was rocked around and fished, and I caught a lot of fish. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, everybody that's building a Bass Raider, I know we've seen plenty of Bass Raider and Pelican, the Bass Buddies, and all the different brands of those people on the Facebook group. So if you're in the middle of building one, put your comment, put a picture up, and if you're in the middle of building one or modding one out, we'd love to see more of those on the Facebook group. We got another good question here. This one's coming through Facebook group, so it doesn't show exactly who asked it, but it's a great question here about Livewell layouts and the speed and performance if you were going to be putting a Livewell in a boat. So I'll prop this one up, and then you guys can feel free to take a stab at who wants what. But the Facebook question here, of the builds you guys have done with Livewells in the back bench versus the front bench, which one have you guys seen better performance with as far as top speed and hole shot? For reference, this guy's got a 1448 Mod V with a big old 4-stroke 25 horsepower Suzuki. So front or rear Livewells and speed or performance, any preference there if somebody's starting a fresh build?
Put it in the back, in the bench, and put the trolling motor batteries in the middle bench.
That's the secret sauce.
Are you using
We put the batteries middle of the boat 90% of the time.
I got a battery that's 36 volts and only weighs 50 pounds. I mean,
yep.
It's more about total weight distribution, right? Like, how much is your outboard weigh? Your outboard's generally 150 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
25 4-stroke Suzuki, 150 pounds. The gas tank's another 90. We're going to just guess a general weight of 200 pounds for the average male. So what are you at there, right there? How many? That's 450, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, your battery's got to equal. So then you're going to put a Livewell there, and that's another 180 pounds, right?
Give or take, yeah.
So that is, I guess it's the length of your boat too, right? What's he saying, a 1448?
Yeah. I think we need the 1448. I mean, you got two options.
Yeah, is he going to have enough longitudinal volume to displace 650 pounds or 700 pounds back there?
On that,
yeah.
But he's normally, most of the time, you're only in the back when you're running the boat. So for accessibility of hooking it all up, plumbing it all in, it all is easier from the back of the boat. And it's easier to put your batteries in the middle of the boat, even if it's just a lithium battery. And then when you're by yourself, your boat will float better. Otherwise, if you move that Livewell to the middle of the bench, when you're up there, if that Livewell's full and you're up on the front deck fishing, you're going to ride way nose heavy. And then you'll have the ass end out.
You're out of the hole. I guess then is hole shot more important than your boat dipping a little bit when you're trolling, or because hole shot's more important to me. Like if my boat nosedives a little bit, the John boats always generally nosedive a little bit anyways. Like you're not gonna really see a boat not nosediving unless you have like a full-on bass boat where they got all that weight in the back, and you can have like 4 people up in the front and the boat doesn't sink. But I mean, in a John boat, I don't know. I know what you're talking about. It would be better with more weight back there and you up front, but the hole shot is almost severely compromised.
Yeah, personally, I'll never put a Livewell on the front deck. Middle bench, not happening.
Yeah, you're a pretty hefty guy.
Yeah, I've done my past 2 builds have been front deck Livewells, both different scenarios. The last one was actually the boat that's kind of in the background on the group chat, and that's in the front deck. It's a big boat. it's 1852, so we had room to run the plumbing. You got to think about those things. Plumbing, pumping is going to be in the back, and I'm not going to lie, it's problematic to me. I wouldn't call it a nightmare, but it's not fun hooking all that stuff up. You can have airlock if you don't run your lines correctly. The boat before that, same deal, front deck Livewell. The boat actually came from Lowe. The Lowe 170 had a front and a back deck Livewell. Took the one out of the back, turned the front one into a bigger tournament style Livewell. Same deal with the plumbing, man. Problematic. We got it to work. Super hard to do. Both of those boats, different weight distribution. So I really just feel like you have to look at your project, what you're trying to achieve, what weight's going to be in the boat. I never believe in a universal answer for any boat build. One guy may run lithium, one guy may run lead acid. So with both of those boats with the front deck Livewells, both of them had different things going on the back. The one that Kerry did had talons and a bunch of other crap that he bought. And the other guy, David, actually ran the electric outboard and used that back area for a bunch of 48-volt battery packs. So he's running a 25 and a gas tank, but still we got to revert back to the 1448. I got a 1436. My Livewell in the back. And it's a similar deal. You're going to be hard pressed to get a Livewell on the front and run all that stuff. It's going to be a pain. So I just feel like regardless of what you do, the back on that particular boat is probably better. So I don't know. That's what mine's 1436, and I got it in the back bench. And any boat that comes in, if I could convince them to put it in the back, we'll do it in the back. Front, we'll do them, but it's a lot of work, a lot of headache.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why boat manufacturers quit doing front Livewells in most of the bass boats. If you look back in like the 80s, a lot of those fiberglass boats had Livewells up front. Like my Skeeter Starfire 1982 had a Livewell up front. Actually had two Livewells, and the back Livewell wasn't very big, and then it had a secondary Livewell up front. And from all I see in that is those fish just getting battered. You run in rough water, and your poor fish are going to get absolutely hammered, before you get back to weigh-in, being up there up front. But yeah, that's just what I saw from the old bass boat side of things. Is they quit putting Livewells up front in bass boats, at least. So at least brand new production holes. So anybody got some final words for this gentleman?
I don't see any problem with like it being center 40 or center 50, or like at like the 40 past the 50 mark is a little much. Like I would agree with that. When you guys say a front deck Livewell, I would never put a Livewell in the front deck, but middle 40 and 50, and especially in a smaller boat, like if you're putting in a 14-foot 1436 or a small like 13.5 V hull, and you run all your weight in the back, that does really dramatically change the overall performance of your boat. And I just consider that all. I also consider how much you weigh as a person, because that dramatically the performance of the boat.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I got an idea, Coach. Just build out your whole boat, cut your middle bench out, cut your back bench out, stick a tub in there with a bunch of weight to simulate the water weight, stick your outboard on there and run it, and then pull it and put it in the front. See whatever performs better. Go with that.
There we go, Anthony.
And tag us in it.
like a porcelain bathtub.
Go ahead and buy a Livewell tub from Nate while we got the Black Friday sale going. Go ahead and get your Livewell tub. Cut your hole in your back bench. Cut your hole in your front bench. Go ahead and get a weekend warrior kit, because you're going to be cutting the front up anyhow. Go ahead and how many gallons of water are going to go in it. Do the math. Get you some weight. Throw them in there. Throw it in the rear. See what it does. Throw it in the front. See what it does. Film it all. Put it on YouTube. Actually, just send me the footage. I'll edit. I'll put it on my video. Just get this. Probably get 1 million views. Who knows?
That's a dope idea, Anthony. You know what? That's a dope idea, brother.
I got a question for you, Nate, real quick.
Yeah.
How big of a Livewell would you need for a 30-pound catfish?
Hang on, I'm pulling that one up right now, Mike.
I would put a 16 by 40 or a 16 by 48 Livewell in.
A pretty big catfish.
Yeah, that's a 3-foot catfish.
How
Just
gallons
one.
is that?
And if you put 2 in there, I'd have to do the math. What's 16 times 48 times 14 for a height divided by 231?
I don't know. I'm not good at math. Who's good at math here? Naim.
Oh, man.
Naim.
If I click off the screen, I'll never get it back up. So
All right, say it again. I got my calculator out.
16 times 48 times 14 divide by 231.
Somebody in the chat post it. I know one of you in the chat did math.
46.5. Yeah.
That's a 46-gallon tank. Now, keep in mind at 8 pounds a gallon, it adds up quick. So
yeah, I agree.
And also,
yeah, 46.
I also want to say, don't try running the version 3 Livewell kit from Flowrite on a 46-gallon tank, because I don't know if that little flapper valve is gonna be able to hold that much. I personally don't think it's gonna do well with that much pressure from the Livewell.
It was 100 gallons
people,
at 20-footer, and we had to put 2 fill pumps in because
yeah.
it just took forever to fill.
Oh, it took forever to fill. I got you.
Yep. So we added a second pump and then just wired them up together so they would both fill simultaneously. But it's a ton. I mean, it's 1,000 pounds of water in that thing.
But Mike, you're talking about the actual pressure from the water inside the tank hitting that valve from flow,
because
right?
I call it from a service line, and he was very upset that water was just blowing out the back. And then so I had to talk to him, and I talked to him, and I couldn't really figure out. And then he leaked how big his live well was, and it was an obscene live well. And then I was like, well, that this is a little flapper valve. Like, I don't know if it's hold on that weight.
It probably needs a version 4. I mean, the version 4 was designed for live wells that have a lot more pressure on them because they're elevated.
We're working on the version 4 kit. Also, that should be live here pretty soon. We're gonna put one of those in. I had another question too. Dang it, forgot it.
Well, which one? What was it on, Mike? I can pull it up here. We got plenty of questions coming in.
Add on to that. I think we got it. If I remember, I'll circle back to it. Does anybody put on these aluminum boats to compensate for the weight in the back? I mean, would trim tabs
pods
the live well put in the back? I've never used trim tabs. Like, I use a whale tail. That would help. A whale tail on the outboard would help. It'll slow you down a little bit, but you would get on plane faster and you wouldn't porpoise.
Don't you guys also put the pods in the back to help compensate and lift the transom? I mean, I know it's a thing in the aluminum boat world.
Yeah, Chris, if Chris was here, he could tell you about that. And then if we had a few other people, they'd be able to tell you about that. But
one gentleman that's in the group, I can't remember his name, he put one of those heavy, one of those duck motors, surface drives.
Yeah.
Chris's, but he put a 40 on the back of a 1448.
And
he was having porpoising issues, and he bought legitimate giant trim tabs for it, hydraulic ones, and he said it solved all of his issues.
Yeah, I mean, we got plenty of people running transom, running the pods on there. I mean, what's the biggest thing we ran the issue that you've ran into, since we're on the topic of pods, because there's another guy that had a pod question. I know, Nate, I think you've ran into this issue before, maybe Ryan has too, in terms of buying like off-the-shelf pods and then trying to mount them yourself and not getting the angle correctly, and how much of a kind of a pain in the butt it is to actually get those angled correctly for a DIYer.
Yeah, we don't mess with it here. They just make a general size, and then they give you a filler piece so that you can get the fit right. But when you fit them up, you could end up with a 1/4-inch gap or 3/8 gap, depending on your boat. It could be more. And then you have to, they send a filler with it so you can adjust that angle. But it looks tacky to me.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, if you don't mount it right, then you're really screwing with the performance of the boat if you don't get it exactly right. Right.
But they just look at those beaver tail pods and go, oh, they're $350, but then somebody's going to charge you $600, $700, $800, $900 to put them on.
Yeah.
When if we do them, we just charge $1,000 and we'll make custom pods to fit your boat and put them on.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So it just, sometimes the $350 bargain ain't what it is.
Makes sense. It's not as much of a DIY project as people make it seem. You definitely got to have somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a great option for somebody in their garage if they're the one doing all the work.
Mm-hmm. Makes
Hey,
sense.
also real quick, G-style fishing. You're at 12 volt or 24 volt for a Livewell setup. I mean, all pumps run off of 12 volts. I never heard of no 24 volt Livewell pump. There probably is one, but yeah, I mean, a Livewell battery, you just run that off a General House battery.
Yeah,
60 amp hour house battery. Run that thing all day.
Yeah, we all use like 750 gallon per hour, like that. The flow right kits come with a 750 Rule Livewell pump. You know, I mean, we pretty much don't go anything more. I mean, what's the biggest you guys have used on the Livewell side? 1,000 gallon per hour for a really big Livewell.
Yep.
Yeah, we're talking that's Livewell that takes different things. That takes a one when you go up to a 1200 GPH pump.
Yeah, and the one and a quarter inch fittings. Yeah, and 12 volt, 750 gallon pump, and you'll be just fine unless you're running something massive. Let's see here. We're winding down the time, guys. We'll be on for another 10 minutes or so. So if you guys got questions, we'll make sure to answer them. If you're still hanging in with us, thank you for watching. Make sure to ask a question or drop in where you are watching from. And at the end of this live tonight, we'll go through and pick our 3 winners of the gift cards. You guys can go ahead and use that for the Black Friday week sale at tvnation.net. Mike, have you seen any other good questions popping through? I'm just going to go through here real quick and see if I can.
Rod tube length for the rod lockers, I don't know, 4 foot.
If you use a 4 foot lid, then at least 4 foot tube.
Yeah.
Because what most people don't realize, if you
a 4 foot lid, yeah, and then I guess you have some you're talking about some excessive space in the back to make
what? No, saying for a normal rod locker, if you're going to do a 48-inch lid, you want at least a 48-inch tube, because if you have a 7.6 rod, by the time you slide it into the rocker and then you go to nest it wherever it's going to sit, you're going to slide forward and then come back, and you don't want your tips poking out up underneath the deck. You know, you don't want to be running your eyelets on a $200 rod up against the edge of the PVC, so you don't want to come out the end of the tube.
Plus, the PVC comes in 10-foot sticks anyway, so just cut it in half and just do.
Try to run 5. Well, I try to butt those PVCs against the wall to stop that from happening. But yeah, essentially, and sometimes that's pretty hard.
5 footers, and then on the last one that I did, 5 foot of tube, 4 foot in the rod locker. That gives you 9 foot. But like Nate said, if you're one of them boys that's got one of them crazy swim bait rigs and you stick it in there, I cleared out the front where the tube's in, and so it's all hollow. So I didn't cap them. So if a rod needs to go through that very end with a sleeve on it, it can still do it without breaking a tip. If you've got something really, really long like that, you can get it, but you need to have a sleeve on, because when you pull it back through, it might catch. But yeah, 5 footers, because it's 10 foot stick. And that stuff was expensive, buddy. Let me tell you what, it ain't what it used to be.
The other day I got some, it was $24 for a 10 footer.
Yeah.
Bro, we spent like almost $250 just for Terry's rod lockers for those system PVC. I mean, because he had 8 tubes on each side, so 16 tubes total. You only get 2 out of a stick, and when it's $25 a stick, it goes quick.
Yeah. Well, we got another good transom question, because transoms must be a daunting task, because we got plenty of transom questions tonight. This one's real good. I think Dustin's been
part of the boat
wanting us to answer this question. So, Mike, I think you were asking more clarity. Dustin, if you want to give us a little more clarity on this, we'll try and take a stab at it here before the end of the night. I know you've been asking this question a couple times. We'll make sure to get to it here. Is Kusa okay for an exterior transom clamp board or pass? I already have it, but have not cut it. I'd rather not waste my time if it's no good. So, Dustin, I'm assuming here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in terms of so for instance, we make Nate makes this aluminum transom cap, so it goes over the top of your existing wood transom to clamp on your outboard. And so what you're thinking of doing is taking Kusa board and using that as your kind of wedge piece for the mounting on your outboard. That's what I'm getting at here. But comment right here and let us know if that's what we're thinking. But you guys, anybody want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, I don't know what climb. If I knew what a climb board was, I'd help. But
yeah, so talking about the little board in the back of the transom.
I think that's
what I'm assuming. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
Man, I have a DIY solution. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We have transom brackets by that. They'll do a lot better job. If you just want a backing so your hull stays straight. Go ahead, Anthony. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. On mine, actually, let me see if I can turn this camera around. Let me get you off my tripod.
You might just have to flip it around. I don't know if you can flip the actual camera.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip this. Yeah. So let me.
All right, Ian. Take it away, hey Dub. Oh wow, that looks pretty.
Yeah. So that actually. That is made. Sorry, it's hard to do the camera. That's actually just some aluminum and one of these. Let me see if I can find one over here. You always have one of these handy in the garage. Commercial grade cutting board.
It's not a bad idea.
So that's what I did. Don't steal my idea, Mike. I see you eyeing it. YouTube video coming soon.
Dude, all I do is steal people's ideas. That's how I got to where I am today.
That's the dopest word I ever seen.
Hey, don't steal my dope idea, Mike.
Man, can you come to El Paso and install that for me?
It's a simple install. You just cut it on the table saw. That's it.
I'm going to take your idea, and then I'm going to tell everybody you took it from me so nobody else actually knows.
Hey, and then will you troll me on the interwebs about it for you taking my idea and then you saying that I took it from you and then you troll me and then
I'm a huge
nobody
professional.
Yeah. Do that.
My game. All I'm going to do is poke it and implicitly troll you the whole time. And the minute you wave your hand at me, I'm going to cry.
Hey, look. I'm the cutting board king, okay? I do the dopest cutting board installs on Transom. Leave me alone.
Well, I love your ingenious idea, Anthony. I think
I'm gonna
take away.
I'm gonna spend watching them all.
Well, I hope that answers your question. I think it worked just fine. As a transom clamp board, Mr. Commercial Cutting Board King over here, A-Dub Jones. But the thing is you got to make sure your transom is good to get started with. I mean, if you're going to put a clamp board, doesn't matter if you use Nate's aluminum one or you custom fab your own one, or if you take Anthony's idea of a plastic cutting board, chopping up onions on your back deck. You need to make sure your transom's good. So if your transom's not good, adding a piece of Kusa board to the back ain't going to help you one bit if the transom is not good. So definitely take what Nate talked about earlier in terms of inspecting your transom, inspecting the wood, making sure that's okay. And if that's all good, then you can go ahead and do it. But just adding a piece of Kusa board to it probably ain't going to help you unless your transom's at least in somewhat decent shape. So make sure it's, we don't want nobody taking our advice and their outboard falling off the back of their boat. So, you make sure that things that's strategically sound. Dustin's got another great question here on transoms. Geez, we can keep talking about transoms all night long.
Put it up here.
Dustin, here's a great question. The cost of an
get this chat to 50 likes. If you guys are in the like button, I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, we gotta get to 50 likes. So I'm giving those gift cards away. So Dustin says the transom is okay with the time to replace the internal external pieces instead of just doing it in one shot. So what's the cost of an aluminum transom that is basically 8 inches tall and 54 wide? So Nate, is that the 8 inches by 54 wide? Is that the standard sizing for our do-it-yourself transoms?
It'd be smaller than that. That'd have to be one that Ryan would quote.
Okay, but I gotcha.
It'd be less than anything that we offer. I think the smallest one that we offer on there right now is 12 by 60, and he's that. So
I gotcha.
Hey, just send me an email if you really want to know. support@tbnation.net.
Yeah. So Dustin, give him a jingle at support@tbnation.net, and we can custom quote you for that since it's smaller than our standard out of the box replacement transom. But we make it as easy as possible for you to be able to replace it.
Going on
the transom.
Like 1436 or something like that at 54 inches wide at the top.
Probably. Yeah, Dustin, what size is your boat? I know you're live here in the chat, so what's the size of it? And you can just send us a message, and we'll take good care of you. So let's see here. Does anybody else have any final questions for tonight? Actually, here's another good final question since we're running out of time here. We're all getting a little delusional. So Nasty Nate, I know he's been active here in the chat, he's got a question about batteries and trolling motors, and I'm sure a lot of guys watching this probably have the same questions. Will a 55-pound thrust 12-volt trolling motor and a 100 amp hour lithium battery be good for a 1436 flat bottom John boat? And kind of what's your estimated run time for a 12 volt 55-pound thrust trolling motor? And even versus 24, because we have some guys ask similar questions about, hey, I'm on the fence between 24 and 12 volt, and the difference between that. So does anybody want to take a stab at that one? The last question of the night.
Which one? You want to go or no?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, well, I just uploaded a video tonight where I took that 1436 Weekend Warrior kit out, and we put the Spirit motor on there, and I was concerned. I'm only saying this because of the price point that you're going to be at with things. But hey, Anthony, how far is that run at hard labor from the boat ramp all the way to the backside at the right arm? That's about 2-point-something miles, right? Like 2.8 or something.
Yeah, it's pretty far.
And we made it all the way back there and all the way back. On the way there, we did 75% throttle, and I still had 30% battery at the end of the day, and then ran it wide open all the way back. So I would consider that for one of those options, to be honest with you.
That's not what he was asking, though. He was asking, will a 12-volt, 55-pound thrust trolling motor and a 100 amp hour lithium battery last him all day?
Oh, apologies. Okay.
And I would say yes.
Yeah. I think
for a 24 volt only because the settings are better. So most 12 volt trolling motors only have 5 settings. And that's what sucks is when the wind's blowing, you're in 4 or 5, you can't fine tune that setting to going too fast or too slow.
You're talking like the Edge?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you're right. Definitely for the Edge is kind of capped, but the Edge only has 5 settings. Really?
All the basic ones are only five settings. The Tarova, though, the electric steer, I think has a full range.
On the 12 volt, I have a 12 volt power drive, 55-pound with a 100 amp hour lithium battery in my little 14-foot budget build, and I don't see that thing ever running out. Maybe a 60 amp hour might be a little short, because what Nate is talking about is like you will have a lot more comfort because it's a higher pound percentage. You'll use less power throughout the day, so it'll last longer there.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you're going to run a 55-pound, you'd be running that thing probably on max speed a lot or close, 70-80% throttle, a lot. And at that point in time, you definitely need a 100 amp hour minimum.
Yeah, and you're drawing a lot of amps at 12 volts. You're drawing a lot of amps to get that power versus using
just a scoot. But it would work. Yeah. The 55-pound is probably I don't know. A good 55-pound will pull a 16-footer around pretty good, provided there's no real wind.
Yeah, the 20. If you can afford to go 24 volt, though, if you're like a serious fisherman and you can afford to go 24 volt, it's well worth the upgrade.
In the upgrade, the 12 volt lithium to the 24 volt lithium is only a couple $100.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get off, I want to talk about that. So this is a 24 volt lithium. I don't know. Stupid
Here, let me bring you the big screen, Mike. There you go.
Yeah, this is 160 amp hour, 24 volt lithium, and on a 1436 or so, or even a little bit bigger, but this would last you probably pretty much all day, and that's just one battery. It weighs nothing.
That's not what we just put in that 1660 that we built.
This is a 36 volt one, which is slightly bigger and a little bit more heavier. It's like 50-ish pounds, but it's just one battery.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about that. If the defining factor is you don't want to store 2 or 3 batteries in series, think about one of our single cell batteries that we sell at Powerhouse. And we didn't get to dig in too much into this live like I really wanted about these batteries, but they have really good options. They even have a 16 volt option for advanced electronics that is just meant for electronics, and they also have 12 volt, 60 amp, and 100 amp batteries.
Yeah,
the
16 volt mic is for the live scope and for the high end like scanner.
Yeah, not for house battery, but yeah, for like a house battery. I'm pretty excited because I can rig the house battery, the electronics battery, and my trolling motor battery just in the battery compartments. But before that, I had to rig 2 or 3 batteries in series, and then I had to find areas for the house battery. And then when the electronics thing started happening, that kind of screwed everything up for everybody. You had to find a whole separate battery compartment for that. When you realize that the lead acid hold it, and the house battery wasn't going to do it anymore, and so yeah, that is what it is. But I plan just to have one compartment and stick just 3 batteries, and 3 batteries that'll do the job of 6 batteries is a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
and I mean, also they're really light. They're extremely light, and they're back to Georgia. They're just down the street from us. So it's not like
Hey Mike.
Yeah.
I just saw you live a few minutes ago, and I stole your idea.
What? Hey.
I was watching you on this live earlier, and you have one of these. I just got it. Just came in.
Oh. Dude,
you can't have nothing, Mike.
Do you have any compassion for my feelings at all? Like,
we are one.
Just the ruthlessness, the sheer ruthlessness and the audacity, the entitlement, the overinflated sense of self-worth and importance. Jeez, Anthony.
Oh my gosh.
Good gosh.
Well, while we're on that topic,
I can't wait to use mine though, dude. That thing is super, super light. It's gonna be perfect. So the one I just showed is going in my the one I just showed is going in my 12-foot Porta-John. Might be done by 2025.
Nice. 2 years. 2 years ago.
By the way,
while we're on the topic,
those batteries are going on sale, I think Thursday or Friday, one of the days.
They go on sale tomorrow. So they're doing Powerhouse. Yeah. So you'll see it on the website, guys. Go to tvnation.net and click our Black Friday deals, and you'll see starting tomorrow, 20% off all Powerhouse lithium batteries. So if you're thinking about making the switch to lithium, go jump on over there and save yourself some money. And we do appreciate your support. Both our locations in Illinois, Nate's shop in Illinois and Ryan's shop in Georgia are full Powerhouse dealers. So if you're local there, you can also drop by the shop and talk with them and get squared away. So we really do appreciate the support there, guys. Well, I think we are pretty much done. Mike, if you want, we could go maybe Friday night. Last year we did one on Friday night too, but it was more of a like product expose Q&A. So if you guys want, we could do another one.
We can probably do something like that. I'll go live anyways. All throughout this month.
I'll go live.
Huh?
We'll all go live.
We'll all go live.
Right.
But
what are you gonna hope the whole time and just hope people will stay around and watch you?
Well, we got to wrap it up tonight, guys. We really appreciate everybody joining us. What's up, Nate?
You got to pick a winner, don't you?
Oh, we'll do that. We'll put that out tomorrow we'll post that tomorrow. All three winners. We'll post that tomorrow. It is only from the live, so we'll go through and pick the 3 winners here. And actually, you know what? Heck, let's just do it right now since we're all on here.
Because then you can instruct them on where they need to go to claim the.
Yeah, let's knock this out. Claim your prize. So I'm scrolling up and down the comments like a crazy man, and we're gonna pick random 3 winners for our gift cards tonight. So let's see. Eyes are closed, and Scott Nathiro is our first winner. Scott had some great questions, and actually the comment that he said is, Anthony, your video on wiring took me my anxiety from 100 to like 20. Thanks. So I'm glad that you're able to provide some of your calm coolness to Scott there on your video. So
thanks for the feedback, buddy. Just dropped the wiring video. What was it, a week or 2 ago? It's like 40 minutes long, but I try to put it in chapter form and just keep it simple to just help people, really. So I'm glad that helped your anxiety go down, because I myself have a lot of anxiety. So I have to do wiring videos to lessen my anxiety.
It's very zen. So Scott, make sure you comment. Either what you can do is PM us. If you're on Facebook right now, PM us in the Tiny Boat Nation Facebook page with your info, or just send an email to support@tbnation.net with your contact info, and we will get a gift card out to you. We got 2 more to go. Let's see here. Let's throw around the comments. Pick a random one here. Let's see. Here's another. This is a perfect winner. Jesse Kerr. So Jesse Kerr, he actually was the one who talked about Pops passing away and the Livewell questions. Jesse, you get a $100 TBN gift card, so it'll help go towards that $2,000 budget on your build for your dad's old boat. So make sure you comment, send us a message. I see on YouTube, so just send us a message to support@tbnation.net with your information, and we'll take good care of you there, Jesse, and you can save yourself a little bit of money too on the build, and you work with Ryan here on customizing what exactly you need. And then let's see here, last final winner. Rolling this thing really crazy here. All right, and the first good question of the night, Tony Johnson. Tony Johnson with his Transom question. You also won a $100 tbnation.net parts store gift card. So Tony, on Facebook, send us a PM or email us at support@tbnation.net, and we will take good care of you. So we appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Thanks, guys, for the laugh and the good information here. Any parting words from anyone before we head down for the night?
We put up that post in the Facebook group for everybody to share their projects.
Yes.
Go in there and share your projects, and on Saturday, somebody's going to get $150 in product for whoever the winner is off of that post.
Perfect. Yep. Go on there in the Facebook group and find the build status update post by Nate, and post your pictures. We've got plenty of people in there posting their updates on the builds they're currently working on.
Posted pictures in there already, so
yeah, really good. Any other parting words, anybody?
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Enjoy time with friends and family.
It's happy Thanksgiving,
dude. Take the time to enjoy your family. So everybody else, we all good to go, gentlemen?
Yep.
Happy holidays,
all right.
guys.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks so much for your time and listening and learning with us tonight. And any other questions, just reach out to us at tbnation.net. We're doing the Black Friday sale this week, as well as Ryan and Nate and Mike and all of us here are here to help you build your boat without all the hassles of going to and from the store and watching a billion videos. We want to make that process as easy for you to build your dream boat. So if you got any questions, just give us a jingle at tbnation.net and we'll be able to help you. So other than that, everybody, thanks for having a good night. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you later.
see you guys.
See you guys.